Okay, so let's try and unpack this. August 22nd, 2025, a stark declaration really echoed across the globe. Famine, officially declared in Gaza City. And this isn't just, another grim headline, is it? It's the first official famine declaration in the Middle East. It confirms months, really years of these incredibly dire warnings. And maybe the most heartbreaking part, it's not a natural disaster. It's being described as entirely man-made. So today, our mission really is to understand how we got here, to this catastrophic point. We need to explore what this official declaration means, not just the stats, but for people living through it in Gaza. And, crucially, what the future looks like if things don't change. We want to try and make this incredibly complex, very challenging situation accessible, give you some context, some insight, because this crisis, terrifyingly, is predicted to spread south towards Khan Yunis, Deir al-Balah, maybe by the end of September. Right? So to really grasp the seriousness here, we need to get into the specifics. What actually defines a famine? The official call came from the Integrated Food Security Phase classification, the IPC.
The IPC, they're the global authority set up back in 2004 monitoring food security worldwide.
Exactly. And they don't just casually label something a famine. There are these incredibly strict criteria, right?
Yeah.
3 specific thresholds.
Extremely strict and scientifically grounded. It's a high bar to meet.
And these are grim thresholds. They applied them to Gaza City using data from July 1st to August 15th, 2025. So first, at least 20% of households facing extreme food shortages.
20%. A fifth of all families.
Second, 30% of children under 5 suffering from acute malnutrition.
Acute, meaning severe, dangerous wasting or stunting.
And the third one, maybe the most devastating, at least 2 adults or 4 children per 10,000 people dying daily from starvation or related diseases.
Daily. That constant grinding mortality.
And the IPC's report confirmed it. Gaza City met all 3, over 500,000 people facing catastrophic hunger levels. That's IPC Phase 5.
Yeah, the precision of the criteria is, well, it's striking. But the reality they paint is just horrifying. IPC Phase 5, that's not just very hungry, it's the absolute peak classification. It signifies total collapse of food access, starvation, acute malnutrition, death on a significant scale. It really is the worst-case scenario. And there's an independent group, the Famine Review Committee, the FRC top food security experts. They corroborated the findings, though, getting that mortality data, incredibly challenging. With restricted access, the ongoing conflict.
Right. How do you even count that accurately?
Exactly. But the IPC concluded the threshold was likely met. Adults, children, succumbing to that deadly mix, hunger, disease, dehydration. And this isn't common. It's only the 5th time the IPC has ever declared famine.
Only the 5th time since 2004?
That's right. After Somalia in 2011, South Sudan twice, 2017 and 2020, and Sudan's Darfur region just in 2024. Each one is a profound global challenge. A failure, you could argue.
And what's really, poignant isn't the right word, maybe disturbing, is that this wasn't a surprise. Like you said, the warnings were there for almost 2 years since the conflict escalated back in October 2023.
Aid groups, food security experts, they were sounding the alarm bells constantly.
Warning about this dangerous slide towards famine. It feels like we've just been watching it happen. Let's just quickly trace some of those warnings. Go back to July 2025. The UN World Food Program, the WFP. They reported astonishing levels of desperation. Said a third of the population, maybe 700,000 people, going days without food.
Days. And the reports from back then, emaciated children, people looking like skeletons, families scavenging. Horrific.
Then, January 2024, the World Health Organization, WHO, called northern Gaza's food situation absolutely horrific.
Yeah, they noted that even the rare aid deliveries were just mobbed by starving crowds. Understandably, but chaotically.
March 2024, UNOCHA, that's the UN Humanitarian Affairs Office, warning about children dying from starvation.
Yeah.
Call it a warning like no other.
A stark phrase.
By July 2025, WHO reported over 60 malnutrition-related deaths officially.
Wow.
25 for children.
And those are just the confirmed ones, likely an undercount.
And save the children.
Mm.
Heartbreaking accounts. Kids looking for rat-eaten scraps, eating leaves just to survive.
But despite all that, the overwhelming evidence, the warnings, the IPC held back on the official famine declaration.
Why the delay, if it was so clear?
Well, it wasn't lack of concern. It was mostly about the data, especially mortality rates. As we said, incredibly hard to track reliably in that environment. The IPC methodology is rigorous. It demands that solid proof across all 3 indicators.
So they needed to be absolutely certain.
Precisely. But the August 2025 confirmation just wiped away any doubt. It cemented the reality. Gaza City is starving. And crucially, the crisis isn't staying put. It's spreading. That delay, though, It highlights a tragic pattern.
Yeah.
By the time famine is officially declared, so much suffering, so many deaths have likely already happened. It points to a failure to act sooner.
And as we mentioned at the start, this famine is different. It's not nature. It's human actions. The war, intensifying after the Hamas attack on October 7, 2023, about 1,200 killed, 250 hostages taken, triggered Israel's retaliatory offensive.
An offensive with devastating consequences, much of Gaza leveled.
Over 62,000 Palestinian deaths, reported by Gaza's health ministry. They don't distinguish combatants from civilians. And local food production, decimated.
Already fragile, now essentially gone in many areas.
But beyond the fighting itself, a huge factor has been Israel's blockade. It was tightened significantly in March 2025, severely restricting food, fuel, medical supplies, the basics for survival.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And connecting that blockade to the bigger picture, those aid restrictions have been a critical aggravating factor. They turn a severe crisis into this famine. Aid agencies keep reporting it. Millions of dollars worth of essentials, food, medicine, water, just stranded, stuck in warehouses in Jordan and Egypt, can't get in.
Why can't it get in?
Well, since March 2nd, 2025, major NGOs, Doctors Without Borders, Corrigidas Internationalists, they've said explicitly they haven't been able to get a single truck through. New, very strict regulations imposed on entry. The UN's humanitarian chief, Tom Fletcher, he put it bluntly on August 22nd, food piles up because of systematic obstruction by Israel.
Systematic obstruction. Strong words.
And terrifyingly, UN reports indicate over 1,300 people killed since late May 2025 just trying to get food. 859 of those at aid distribution sites.
Killed while seeking aid.
Yes. Then there's the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a U.S.-backed effort, criticized for being ineffective. Distribution sites often in militarized zones, like near the Khan Yunis-Rafah border. Most people just can't reach them.
So even if some aid gets near it doesn't reach the people.
Often not. Add to that the constant displacement, 800,000 people forced to flee again and again, no stable access to anything. And finally, the chaos at aid sites, looting driven by pure desperation. The WFP says almost all its trucks get intercepted before they reach their destination.
It sounds like a complete breakdown.
It's not just supply chain issues. It feels like a deliberate strangulation of resources, a really chilling part of this man-made crisis.
The statistics are horrifying, but the individual stories, they're almost unbearable. You try to picture it, a mother with 6 kids, 2 with cerebral palsy, digging through rubble for anything edible.
Just unimaginable desperation.
Or a doctor at Nasser Hospital in the South, treating malnourished children while his own family is going hungry.
These aren't abstract scenarios. This is daily life there now.
Mohammed Al-Matoun from Medical Aid for Palestinians, he shared photos. Boys, you can see their ribs, surviving on dry bread and tea. On their luckiest days.
Luckiest days.
And a relief worker from an Algerian charity, Al Baraka, described northern Gaza as basically cut off, almost no relief aid since the conflict began. And the impact on children, it's just devastating. The IPC projects, by June 2026, 132,000 kids under 5 facing life-threatening malnutrition.
132,000.
Including 41,000 severe cases. And malnutrition, it's not just hunger, is it? It destroys their immune systems.
Precisely. Makes them incredibly vulnerable to infections. Simple things like diarrhea become deadly because it leads to dehydration, and their bodies just can't fight back.
It's that lethal cycle. Lack of food makes them sick. Sickness stops them recovering.
Exactly. And these aren't just isolated tragedies. This level of survival, scavenging, it shows the social fabric is tearing apart. And kids always suffer the most. This is where insights from experts like Alex DeWall, who wrote Mass Starvation, are so relevant. He stresses that most famine deaths aren't from pure starvation alone. It's that deadly combination. Malnutrition weakening the body, then disease striking.
And Gaza's hospitals can't cope.
No chance. The few still functioning are overwhelmed, under-resourced. They lack basic supplies to treat these preventable illnesses.
Yeah.
Remember Dr. Ahmed Al-Farah at Nasser Hospital? His quote was chilling. He told reporters, "There is no one in Gaza now outside the scope of famine, not even myself."
Not even the doctors treating it.
It just shows how completely pervasive this is. It's beyond a humanitarian emergency. It's societal collapse.
Okay, so you have these dire reports, overwhelming evidence from global bodies like the IPC, WHO, UN agencies. Yet, Israel's government has consistently denied a famine exists. On August 22nd, COGAT, that's the Israeli body coordinating activities in the territories, called the IPC report false and biased.
They claim they've taken significant steps to increase aid.
That's right. Officials say 300 trucks of relief and commercial goods get into Gaza daily. They say food prices in markets have fallen, though still higher than before the war.
300 trucks, though aid agencies contest the actual amount reaching people and the types of goods included.
And Prime Minister Netanyahu has dismissed the starvation reports outright, called them lies, promoted by Hamas, asserts Israel allows enough aid to prevent famine.
So this raises a huge question, doesn't it? How do you reconcile these completely opposing narratives?
Yeah.
You've got Israel's denial on one side and widespread international condemnation on the other.
Condemnation from who?
Well, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called it a man-made disaster and a moral indictment of humanity. Oxfam accused Israel of using starvation as a weapon of war. That's a potential war crime.
Heavy accusations.
Very. Save the Children said Gaza is systematically starved by design. Over 100 NGOs, including the International Rescue Committee, condemned the aid restrictions. They point to supplies for 3 months of feeding everyone in Gaza sitting unused at the border.
3 months worth, just sitting there.
According to those NGOs, yes. And the global outrage, fueled by those images of skeletal children, it's grown. Some allies, like the UK, even pledged to recognize a Palestinian state, partly citing the crisis. On August 13th, over 100 organizations explicitly accused Israel of weaponizing aid. The UN Human Rights Chief, Volker Turk, echoed this, suggesting starvation policies could amount to a war crime.
So it's become an information battleground as well.
Absolutely. The very reality of the suffering is contested, which makes finding solutions even harder.
And confirming a famine. We said it's tough. The IPC needs extensive data. Collecting that in a war zone? Incredibly hard.
Near impossible sometimes.
Israel's restrictions on access for journalists, for aid workers, that obviously complicates verifying things like mortality rates independently.
Definitely.
And there have been criticisms, including from Israeli officials, saying local reports the IPC uses might be influenced by Hamas.
That's a recurring claim.
Though there was this post on X, formerly Twitter, on August 13th, suggesting the IPC changed its metrics to make it easier to declare famine in Gaza.
Right. I saw that claim circulating.
But crucially, there's no actual corroboration for that from primary sources. The IPC itself maintains its data, verified by the FRC, meets global standards, and isn't politically swayed.
Yeah, the IPC stands by its methodology. It's a technical process meant to be objective despite the political noise. You know, it's worth contrasting this with past famines briefly.
Like Somalia.
Exactly. Somalia in 2011, the declaration there came tragically late. Thousands had already died. Gaza is unique. It's incredibly densely populated and almost entirely dependent on external aid. There's very little internal capacity to buffer shocks.
Unlike maybe Sudan, where other factors like floods or internal supply chains might play a role alongside conflict.
Right. Sudan's crises often have multiple complex layers: climate, conflict, economics. Gaza's famine, while happening amidst conflict, seems overwhelmingly driven by these deliberate restrictions on access. That makes it, theoretically, entirely preventable. Reversible, even, if the political will existed to open the taps for aid and goods.
That ability to control access, that's the defining feature here.
It really is. It marks a profound difference from famines caused mainly by natural disasters or a more general state collapse.
And the outlook is terrifying. The IPC warns, flat out, without an immediate ceasefire and unrestricted humanitarian access, famine will engulf central and southern Gaza too, by the end of September.
That's just weeks away.
The projections are just grim. Nearly 641,000 people, almost a third of everyone in Gaza, facing catastrophic hunger. Another 1.14 million in emergency conditions, the step just below famine.
Over 1.7 million people in Phase 4 or 5. It's staggering.
And compounding all this, the planned Israeli offensive in Gaza City, approved on August 22nd.
The same day the famine was declared.
Which could displace tens of thousands more people, disrupt the last functioning hospitals. It just pushes an already desperate situation completely over the edge.
So what's the way forward? What needs to happen now? Aid agencies are unanimous. Urgent action on multiple fronts. The WFP is highlighting the collapse of the social fabric. Public order breaking down because of desperation.
Which makes aid distribution even harder.
Exactly. So the calls are for opening new aid routes, guaranteeing safe, unimpeded distribution inside Gaza, and fundamentally ending the blockade, lifting those restrictions.
Have there been any responses from major powers?
Well, there have been statements. On July 29th, U.S. President Donald Trump acknowledged real starvation and promised food centers. Details are still unclear on that, though. Vice President J.D. Vance urged Israel to allow more aid, while also stressing pressure on Hamas.
So acknowledgments, but concrete actions.
The humanitarian groups say what's needed are immediate concrete changes on the ground, ceasefire, access. Now, without those, the crisis just deepens by the hour.
What we've really explored today goes beyond just that word famine. It's about the total collapse of systems that keep people alive. Healthcare, clean water,
Yeah.
basic safety, food.
All interconnected.
And this deep dive, I think, shows us the world has the resources to feed Gaza. The food is there, often just miles away. What's missing, critically, is access.
Access is everything here.
As the UN Chief Guterres said, there should be no more excuses. The images, the stories, they've shocked the world's conscience. But shock isn't enough, is it? It has to translate into action. Immediate, concrete action that feels like it's about basic justice now.
Absolutely. And this crisis, even though it might feel geographically far away for many listeners, it has truly universal implications. It forces us to ask fundamental questions. How should conflicts be fought? What are the responsibilities for protecting civilians? How do we deliver aid effectively? How does humanity respond when faced with preventable mass suffering?
Big questions.
Huge questions. Gaza's famine is a preventable tragedy. Its resolution hinges entirely on global pressure. Pressure for a ceasefire, pressure for open borders for aid, and a real unwavering commitment to basic human dignity for everyone. The clock is ticking so loudly here. Every single day without meaningful action just deepens this catastrophe, and it deepens the stain on our collective conscience.
A powerful and sobering thought to end on. A call, really, to consider what we've learned and the absolute urgency for global commitment. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.